Let's be blunt. The manufacturing sector is at a crossroads. The old ways of doing things are simply not working anymore. You've got pressures coming from every direction: cost, quality, speed, and it's all converging into a crisis that demands a completely new way of thinking, a new paradigm for productivity. So, what if you could take the brain of a chief productivity officer, all that strategic insight, and embed it using AI right into the DNA of your operations? This isn't about some fancy new tool. This is a North Star. It's a vision that completely redefines what operational excellence can be for every single person in your organization. So here's how we'll break it down over the next few minutes. We'll start with the crisis that I'm sure you're all feeling. Then we'll introduce this new paradigm. We'll get into the specifics of the framework that makes it happen, talk about your strategic advantage, and wrap up with the very first step you can take. All right, first things first, let's really get grounded in the reality of the problem we're all facing. Because this isn't just one single issue. It's a complex, tangled-up crisis with a lot of different dimensions, and it needs a real systemic solution. You know, the thing is, the daily headaches, the cost overruns, the quality issues, the missed deadlines, they're not the real problem. They're just the symptoms. They all point to a much deeper issue. The complexity of modern manufacturing has just completely outrun our old traditional ways of managing it. And look, the big picture numbers are backing this up. When Germany's GDP shrinks by 0.2%, that's not just a statistic. That's a massive warning signal coming from the industrial heart of Europe that the engine is starting to fail. And it gets worse. On top of that, we're seeing labor productivity actually fall across the euro area. At almost a full percentage point down, this is the worst drop we've seen since the financial crisis in 2009. That tells you this isn't just a bad quarter. It's a deep structural problem.
This chart, this tells a really painful story about competition. When your energy costs in Europe are more than double what competitors in the US or China are paying, you're starting every single day from a massive disadvantage. And that's before you've even turned a single machine on.
So it really all comes down to these four key pressure points. You've got intense cost pressures, you've got quality issues and scrap rates eating directly into your profits, you've got speed and delivery problems that are eroding customer trust, and then maybe the biggest one of all, you have the labor issue, that constant brain drain of knowledge and expertise walking out the door. Look, a crisis this big, you can't solve it by just tweaking a few things here and there. It calls for a fundamental shift in how you think. It calls for a new paradigm. And this is the heart of it. The game isn't about trying to hire the one or two super expensive experts you can find. No way. The new game is about democratizing that expertise. It's about empowering your entire team, from the operator on the floor to the plant manager, with the tools and the guidance to make expert-level decisions every single day. Okay, so that's the big idea, but how do you actually do it? How do you put it into practice? Well, it's all powered by the digilean.ai framework. This is the engine that drives the whole transformation. It's a simple, three-part system, and it's all interconnected. First, you get the insight you need to analyze and map out your operations. Then your team has to learn to get empowered and prepared for what's next. And finally, you use the portal to execute and manage it all. Insight, well, it completely flips the script on how you diagnose problems. Forget about weeks of consultants crawling all over your factory floor, disrupting everything. This is a remote, AI-powered analysis that digs into your data and delivers a custom transformation roadmap in one day. We're talking about incredible speed to value. Of course, a roadmap is useless if your team isn't ready to follow it. And that's where the Learn platform comes in. This isn't your standard, boring training module. The AI actually creates training content that is specific to your company's problems. It's personalized. And it even has a virtual reality experience center, so your team can practice new skills without any real-world risk. And then there's the portal. This is really the engine room of the whole thing. It's an AI agent that works like a tireless project manager, guiding your team, connecting to your existing systems like ERP and MES for smart, data-driven advice. But here's the most critical part. It captures everything, every decision, every learning. It builds your corporate memory, turning the crisis of employee turnover into a manageable process. Okay, this all sounds great, right? But if you're in the C-suite, you're asking one question. What's the bottom line? So let's translate this framework into what it really means: hard financial and competitive value. Well, the numbers here really tell the story. Let's just assume you get the same $100,000 annual savings with both approaches.
With the digilean.ai model, you're looking at an ROI of over 1,300%. That's more than 4 times the return you'd get from a traditional consulting firm, and you're getting it for a fraction of the cost. But the ROI, honestly, that's just the beginning. The real strategic win here is the long-term competitive advantage, the moat you build around your business. You can scale expertise across your entire operation. You're democratizing high-level skills. You have a system that learns and gets better over time. And you finally protect your most valuable asset, your corporate memory. So, the last question is, where do you start? The whole path is designed to be straightforward, simple, and very low risk. It really starts with a simple choice. The way I think about it is it's like the diagnosis versus the cure. The free plan is your diagnosis. It gives you a high-level score so you can clearly see where the problem is. The pro plan, well, that's the cure. It gives you the deep dive analysis and the full, actionable plan to go and solve it, with your whole team on board. So I'll leave you with this one final thought, a really critical question. In a world where skilled people are scarce and turnover is high, what would it actually mean for your business, for your stability and your competitive edge, if your company's collective wisdom never, ever walked out the door again?